Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey here, and today we're going to be doing a sprinting mechanics breakdown on Gout Gout, the Australian sensation who just ran 10:04 in the 100-meter, which is the fourth fastest time ever in Australian history. He then also ran a 10:17, which was a wind legal time to be able to set the sixth fastest time ever by an athlete under 18 years old. He's 16, he's about to turn 17 at the end of the month. Thought I'll go ahead and do this breakdown here just to go a little bit more in depth into some of the things that he does really well. The 10:04 was wind aided with a 3.4 tailwind, and so that kind of impacts the amount of steps that he was able to take when going through the 100-meter. But just to give a little bit more information about Gout Gout, he's 6'2", and he is, we can see him here at the bottom, and while he is a very young athlete, he still is obviously one of the fastest in the world. Really impressive to be able to run 10:04 at such a young age. We can see he does a really good job in getting the knees up. I think he gets upwards a little bit too early here and could really benefit by being able to keep himself further down as he's accelerating, right? The more he can keep that head a little bit more out in front, I think it's going to help him in being able to stay consistent with these first few steps. And I think that's going to end up being his big potential downfall, is going to be his acceleration, because he has so much extension in his ankles, in his feet, that I think it ends up negatively impacting him, that he's not able to accelerate as well. And I'll get more into that as we go. But what he does super well is he has such great frontside mechanics. He gets the foot all the way out in front, even in this position, even though his head is pretty far forward. I think that's helping him in being able to propel himself forward as he goes through. Then he has just such great foot contact time. As soon as he hits the ground, 0.83, he's back off by 9.3. And so he has probably under 0.1 foot contact time, maybe 0.09, which is a great position to be in. And I mean, I don't want to compare him necessarily to Arion Knighton, but it does seem like he is on a very similar track when it comes to some of the records that he could potentially break here. Now, I went through and I took a look at how many steps he took. He ended up taking 42 steps. Again, I do think that this being wind aided ended up making it so then he was able to just pick up a lot more distance here. You can see the second half of the race. This is really the strong point of his race. And so he's similar to Noah Lyles. I read an article that said he's going to start to train with Noah Lyles, which I think will help him in being able to hopefully get better within the start, get a little bit more technically sound. But he's great within that last 40, 50 meters. What stood out to me is, and what I don't love about how his leg is moving, how his foot is moving, we can see in this like celebration, he gets a kind of a weird amount of extension. If you watch him kind of move, his right ankle is interesting, how he pushes off there and how he uses his right foot, his right ankle. And that's why I say that he needs to be able to really concentrate on how he's landing, because that additional kind of action, that push off there, we see that in how he's running, where he's able to get so much range in his foot very easily on especially that right side, but really both sides. He just is able to push off the ground so effectively, so quickly there. The issue is, and that's going to go more into plantar flexion, the push off, but when it comes to the start, what you have to have is a lot of dorsiflexion, that ability to lift up in the foot. And so if he struggles or has some weakness within that front part of his shin, then one, that could end up impacting him when it comes to injuries, but two, it can make an impact on him during the starts. While there's a ton of potential, again, he's 6'2", he's 16 years old, he ran 10:04 with a tailwind, a 10:17 without tailwind. He still has a couple things that I think need to get ironed out in order for him to run under 10 and be able to do that in a somewhat consistent manner. There's a lot of guys that are running great times at this age. And so the question marks with him, in my opinion, are going to be, one, how far along in his development is he? We see guys like Christian Miller, like he's very far along in his development, where somebody like Usain Bolt was very young in his development. It took him a few more years to be able to grow into his body and better understand his body. So is Gout Gout maturing very early on, right? Is he very close to his maximum maturity level? We also see that with like Arion Knighton. He's very young, but he also matured very early. So point being is Gout Gout is obviously maturing at a very fast rate. He's continuing to drop these times very, very quickly. And so to me, what's a little bit worrisome is he maturing just very, very quickly, and therefore he may not be able to sustain this amount of growth. For the recommendation would be to concentrate more on his health and being able to get some of these mechanics down, his biomechanics within like his walking gait, his running gait, so he could really maximize his potential at this age. Because if he tries to get these really elite times too quickly and ends up having some reoccurring injuries, I think that that will also end up being a potential downfall in his development. So my recommendation would be get some of these things really ironed out, especially within that right foot and how he's pushing off and how he's using that right knee. I don't love it. I think that there's some things that are not efficient there. And if he's able to do that, I do think he has a lot of great potential to run some very, very fast times. Again, some of the things that he did within that back 40 meters, you know, the 60 meter to 100 meter, it's just hard to be able to teach that. You can't teach his type of height. You can't teach his type of leg length. And so for him to have such a strong base already running 10:04 with a tailwind, he could really benefit from getting some better mechanics within that first 0 to 60 to make it so then he can put together a full race and get into the sub 10 area. But as always, if you like the information, click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. We'll also have some recommendations in terms of some videos here, and you can also check out the description to find out more about what we do with our sprinting mechanics breakdowns and how we can help you improve as a sprinter. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.